end goes, yes, it may cost them more money, but I'm sorry, it's still cost money. And if you don't have the right qualifications, you need to take an extra course that's going to cost you more money. Math is a key enabling skill for many, many courses, particularly technology programs. That lack of that key enabling skill, because of lack of remediation, means that they fail not just their math course, they fail their thermal course, they fail their applied mechanics course, and they struggle in their electronics courses. And all of that put together makes for a very, very unsuccessful student, very unhappy student. Remediation is really required to get them on the right track before they get into all these other courses. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been brought up twice now that the strong students don't tend to help the weaker students, and that they form clusters of weaker students and stronger students. And I agree that that may tend to happen, but I think as teachers, we can create a learning environment within our classrooms where those students can help each other in class. And they do that. And so we can take a little bit of control of that and help those students come together. They may not do it on their own, but I do think we do have a bit of influence on them. And we can reach out to our stronger students and see if they would be willing to help some of those students that need that extra time.
Just want to add one thing to that. You mentioned that in high school you mentioned in high school they're integrated, and then they come to us and we see the results of that. The fact is, in high school they go through remediation, don't they? Because they can take university level, college level, or college level, or workplace level, I guess it would be. In the north, because I live up north of here, about 15 hours, still -3 there, by the way. Most of the students, most of the time we can't afford to run all 3 at each of the high schools. So what ends up happening is we run the remedial, we run the workplace level math, and they come to us with that. So we're looking at students that have come to us in remedial, and that's why we're having a problem. So I'm not saying that this is the case, but maybe if everyone was integrated into that was in the applied or surrounding applied, the workplace level math, they were all put into the college level math, integrated into that, maybe, just maybe we might have a little bit more success. Just to come out.
Thank you.
One of the things that the College Student Achievement Project and College Math Project showed was, from its beginning to its end, there's a huge proliferation in what are called preparatory programs. And we've argued both sides whether or not preparatory programs are remedial, of course, but it's certainly, as far as the mathematics goes, the preparatory program and mathematics goes are much lower. And there's a huge proliferation in this. And none of the success rates in the College Student Achievement Project improved. Right? So there's almost an element of an enabling behavior when a college starts to create remedial and preparatory programs, that it's okay that students who are unqualified can enter the program. So it enables the college not only to keep admitting unqualified students, but also whatever the students do before, they don't gain the qualifications that they need to succeed in a first-year college program. So as long as you keep keep creating remedial courses, at some point we're going to have courses that remediate remedial mathematics, right? So you have to kind of draw the line somewhere. And eventually you do have to integrate students with the entire student body without giving them additional remediation from what they did before.
Thank you. Far side? You can. Yeah, we want.
I see your point about remediation, we're doing all this kind of stuff. Does everybody here know that Waterloo offers remediation for the university students? Because they're accepting the best and the brightest from all over the world with mathematics. They all have English skills. So they have an English test they have to write first year. They have to take English classes if they don't do well in that class. I agree. Remediation, adding an item all the way down is probably a little bit too much. But maybe a little bit to take the people who are good at technology, bad at math, and bring them up so we can get the best and brightest for all the skills.
And keep in mind, we are accepting the students regardless. But it's, I mean, in theory, this might be a bar that we should set, but we haven't set it. We are continuing to allow people in who aren't at that level, and therefore we need that remediation.
Whole education is remediation.
Thank you. This side?
We're done.
Smart.
Maxine says, I grab it.
So this is, we've done things differently in the past than we are today. As of September this year, we're going to have a common math course for all of our sort of computer science umbrella. Everyone's going to take the same course. We'll then see how this is actually going to work out, because we have to change our admission requirements and things of that sort. Now, we're lucky enough that our numbers are excellent, so we don't have to accept more than, we were actually, our waitlisting our programs, it's just, we're that lucky this past couple of years. And so our requirements have been so that they have the proper courses when they come in. We're expecting them to know the things that they should know with the requirements they're coming in with. But in the past, when our numbers weren't so good, we did have to create a remediation course. And we ran them two different ways. I think at one point we did the sort of the September intake, came in, did the remediation math, and they caught up by the summer semester. So there was one math course that they were always behind, and they caught up. Usually it was calculus that they took in the summer. But we have also done it where they've done the remediation and the first course at the same time. So they weren't out of their cohort. They were just taking 2 extra hours, and they will run as modules. So there's 8 modules you have to pass, and it's a pass-fail course. It wasn't set up the same as the rest of the courses. So it's kind of looked at as sort of fill in the gaps to what you're missing, and kind of worked it out so that we're setting up the modules in a way where we're covering materials that will be helpful in the course that the rest of the cohort is taking. So, there are so many different variations of models that it doesn't have to be one or the other. So you could have remediation running concurrently with the cohort so that no one is feeling left out, sort of integrating and remediating at the same time, kind of thing. And again, the pressure is not there. It's a pass-fail, and you can retake the quizzes as many times as you want. You just keep taking it until you're good at it. If I didn't figure it out the first time, I'll figure it out the second time. If not the second time, the third time. But it's just a matter of practice, and it's a pass-fail course that you just take along with your other course. It's almost like saying it's a mandatory tutorial that you have to attend if you didn't come in with the proper requirements. Again, I'll say it again. We're lucky enough that we have the numbers now, so we don't have to offer that remediation per se. But this semester coming up is going to be sort of a testing point for us, because we have changed all requirements to be the same for all levels of computer science. So a computer programmer that typically had lower requirements than software engineering, now they all have the same requirements. So we'll see how that kind of goes September, but stay tuned next year. Let me know. But we have done both remediation and integration sort of hand in hand, and it works.
It'll be interesting to hear how that works out.
I have a quick question for the panels, I guess. Sort of with the recognition from this, I guess the Jonas Brothers left. But just, he mentioned in his story about 3 students, and so my question is sort of twofold, recognizing the finances of running remediation for only 3 students. When you open remedial sections, you're going to be needing, at least at Centennial, sort of the magic number is 12. So there's always a risk that you will be pulling from your integration students who, and putting them into integration students who otherwise would benefit or will make it. And my question for both sides of the panel, I guess, if you could ideally identify those students, what is the ideal method for identifying them at the beginning? And the follow-up question is, do you allow them to self-identify, or to not be in remediation? Like, how do you determine? And not for students who don't need it into remediation.
There are a couple people that have their hands up.
I guess, trying to think of how to formulate this. I guess the question I'm really thinking about for that is, I think that how remediation happens is the trick, right? If you've got 3 students, maybe a self-paced module-based type program that doesn't require a full faculty member or 45 hours a semester or something. And yes, I don't actually know in a lot of situations it's often behind the scenes whether you're allowed to choose remediation. We get students all the time, I'm sure you guys do too. They get placed in normal class and they go, I don't want to take this, but I take an easier one because I want to be successful.
But there's an equal number who like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I mean, how it's done at our colleges, they write a placement test. They can rewrite that placement test should they feel that they didn't do as well as they could do, and that's fine. They can rewrite it if they choose to. More often than not, it actually doesn't make a difference if they rewrite it.
In the OCMT, one of the discussions had been around the possibility of writing a placement test, completing the diagnostic test, checking off those modules, and then rewriting the test. So those students who just vaguely forgotten some stuff are able to do it, but the students who spend 6 weeks and can't do any of it,
So we have time for one more.
sure, you guys have a point.
I just have a comment. I know at Loyalist, the only solution to any kind of failure in mathematics is to give them more time. And that's it. So if you do poorly in the math course, they say, we'll give them time and a half. And they go off on a route by themselves, and instead of 1 hour, they get an hour and a half. But there's no method to identify what the difficulty is. So some of our students are mature students, and they've just forgotten trigonometry, and they've forgotten the rules. Other students have a learning disability, and they just don't grasp it. And we need some other scheme to explain it to them. And again, I go back to my high school, the students in the high school, they have all sorts of methods to teach mathematics. Some of them I don't like, but anyway, the students seem to like it. So they have all kinds of teaching aids, little boards and counters and all kinds of things that the students can grasp the concept in a different way. But in our school, there's nothing. You fail math, you go and you get a plan, a study plan, and the only thing that happens there, you either get tutors, and they go over the same stuff the same way, and the student sits there, can't figure it out, and then they get a time and a half to write the tests. And right now, I have a student who's who's taken the same course 4 times now, and he's going to fail it again. And every time I go up to the test, there he sits. He looks around. Part of it is time management. Part of it, he doesn't understand the questions. Part of it is he can't remember things. But nobody, as far as I know, has identified what his difficulty is. So whether you're talking remediation, it may be just refresher courses. In some other instance, it may be that they have a learning disability, a real perceptual difficulty. And some of it is that they need a different way of learning. But in our school, none of that is addressed. They just go back and they just do it for long. The torture is extended.
Thank you very much, everyone.
He's in the wrong program.
Yeah.
We could go on and on, I think,
They
but
don't
we can't.
identify that. That's the problem.
Could I get the counters at the front, please?
Don't we have to?
Well, you know what? Can you do it in 1 minute?
Yes. You guys go first.
1 minute.
No, we went first once. You guys missed a couple of spots.
Okay, in closing, I think the problem isn't.
Sorry.
I think the problem isn't should we do remediation or not, it's how we do it. The way that our opponents and some of you have described remediation sounds pretty awful. They are put into a class where they are seen as dumb, where they have no friends, where they are not going to succeed ever. That sounds awful, I totally agree. That is not what remediation has to look like. Remediation can have context. It can have a high bar. It can have the ability to make friends. It's shocking, I know. You can do all of those things and still stay in track or on track for your course, for your program. And it can be very well that they don't spend much more money, if anything at all, depending. We've labeled certain things as remediation and certain things as not. Academic upgrading, in my opinion, which is the field I work in, is remediation. And so if that's something that they need beforehand, great. If they recognize that beforehand, great. If not, then there has to be other options, perhaps modules, perhaps classes for them, perhaps 2 hours while they're also doing their math classes. There are a lot of options, and I think the issue isn't whether we do it or not. It's simply how we do it and how we do it successfully for those students.
Thank you. Integration?
Okay, real quick. Mr. Jennings, come up here, please. Based on the results of the beginning of the debate, I'm afraid you are not allowed to participate in the rest of this debate. That's okay. That's okay. You come sit over here.
But I was excited.
I know you can complete this debate next year, but we're going to continue on with the debate.
No, he's doing a debate, just a different one.
Or, Mr. Jennings. You know what? Your trading skills are good, but they need some work. So all of us here are going to help you with those debating skills. Please, please come join us. We're going to get you through this.
Thank you. That was great. Great remarks on both sides. Counters. Okay, we've got to be quick about this. I don't like to hold you up from your next session, so. Okay, we're going to do remediation first as a first vote. Maria, one hand only. Just reminding you, no.
You got this last time.
Terry, you can count.
You got two steps in here.
Have we got everyone counted for that side then? Okay, integration. Okay, so the count should go to the head counter.